Minnesota. Ruby boys, they know us. All fast money, no slow bucks.
What is going on, you guys? Browadis here, aka Brandon, or Brandon, aka Browadis. I always forget how to do it. Behind me, as you see, I'm watching the Suns lose yet again, but it's all good because hashtag Ben Simmons to Phoenix. We gotta lose as many games as possible. It's kind of weird though. It's Suns versus Heat, so I'm watching the Suns versus the Miami Heat, obviously. And on the Miami Heat roster, you have Joe Johnson, Amari Stoudemire, Gerald Green, and Goran Dragic, which... Oh, and also the Miami Heat have Luol Deng, who, although never played for the Suns, was drafted by the Phoenix Suns. So this is just weird to me. But anyways, I want to get into this video. I just want to apologize for still not purchasing a mic, because I know a lot of people complain about my my computer webcam audio, and rightfully so, because I listen to it and it does not sound good at all. So I need to purchase a mic when I have time. Today's video, I do want to talk about Eastern Conference Finals predictions and Western Conference Finals predictions, and also just touch up on the later stages of the NBA playoffs, the finals. You know, season's coming to an end. Teams have less than 25 games left, so playoffs are starting to, you know, like, you're starting to look forward to the playoffs. It's that time of year where you're like, oh shit, 1 month, a month and a half, and it's time for playoffs. So let me just go back to it, because I'm a man of my word. I'll never say something and a couple months later lie and say, no, I never said that. No, if I say something, I'm going to own up to it. So I'm going to say two things. One, I said that the San Antonio Spurs would beat the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs. And I said that if the Warriors did make it to the NBA championship, it would be a bloodbath in the West. You know, they would have to get past the Spurs, Clippers, Thunder, Rockets, and it would just be like 7-game series, and just they would have to battle it through. And that I predicted that they would not go back to the finals. And that I predicted the Cleveland Cavaliers would have a cakewalk to the finals, and they would trash everyone in the East and just match up with someone from the West in the finals. Before I admit my fault, I just want to say that 99% of the NBA experts were saying the same things, that Cleveland would have a cake through and the Warriors would have a tough time getting back to the finals. Nonetheless, let me tell you guys my predictions now. The Golden State Warriors are the team cakewalking to the NBA Finals, okay? Listen to me. This is coming from the dude who said the Warriors wouldn't make it to the finals, and this is coming from the dude who said that the Spurs would beat them in a 7-game series. I'm off whatever drugs I was on. I'm just joking. I wasn't on drugs, but I'm off the stupidity that was in my head. Nobody's beating the Golden State Warriors this year. Not only does it look like they're winning it this year, but it looks like they're building a dynasty, just like the Lakers in the early 90s, just like the fucking Bulls when they had MJ. It's a scary thing to say, and I don't want to say it just yet, because this is only the second year that the Warriors have been this dominant, but it looks, I'm saying it looks, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Golden State Warriors from 2014, 2015 to, dare I say, 2020 or 2021 are the team to beat. I'm not saying they're winning fucking 8 championships in a row, but they have something special, and let's not take that away. You got to give respect where respect is due. Steph Curry, MVP, hands down. They shouldn't even have a second or third place for MVP. He's winning it, and he's first, and he should be first, second, third, fourth. Steph Curry. I don't know. So yeah, before the season, you figured that the Warriors would have a tough time getting back to the finals. Even if you were a Warriors fan and you predicted that they would go to the finals, you had to be a little scared of the Spurs, the Clippers, the Thunder, the Rockets, who had got Ty Lawson for nothing, and now, let's just admit it. The Warriors are cakewalking to the finals. Nobody's beating them. If anybody has a chance, it's going to be the San Antonio Spurs. But let's face it, that's not going to happen either. Whereas in the East, so you figure, okay, so now do the Cavs still have a cakewalk? No, they do not. Because I'm not saying the Cavs look weaker than they did last year. Although I'm not saying they look much stronger, because honestly they look... I don't want to say they decreased, but they definitely didn't increase their level of play. They look just the same, which is scary, because if they lost to Golden State last year, Golden State looks like they've improved, and if Cleveland didn't improve, but that's not my point. My point is, you know, you figured who's going to stop Cleveland in the East? Chicago? You guys realize that Chicago is out of the playoffs right now, currently. They're the 9th seed, or 10th. They're the 9th or 10th seed. They're out of the playoffs. That's not to say they won't make it, but even if they do make it, they're not beating Cleveland. Atlanta, who was the number 1 seed last year, no, they've fallen off too. So you figure who's going to beat them? Let me tell you my two teams who I wouldn't bet money on beating Cleveland, but if they did, I would not be surprised. Number 1 is the Toronto Raptors. If you guys saw the game last week, Kyle, I have to say it, Kyle motherfucking Lowry. This dude's a beast. Like, he put up 43 or 45 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds. He shot 15 for 20 from the field. 15 for 20 on a 40-plus point game. Fucking Hassan Whiteside. Guys, you should have seen it. Alex Len trashed him earlier this game. He fucking dunked on... Alex Len took a shit on Hassan Whiteside's head. And I'm not saying that with any hate or anything, but it's literally what my dude, Devin Booker, just hit a 3. But, yeah, Alex Len literally dunked all over Whiteside and one. And I guess he was just trying to get his 2K rating up. But... so yeah, the Toronto Raptors are Cleveland's biggest challenger by far in the East. That's not to say they're going to beat them, because let me say this. If we're being honest, Cleveland is a different team come playoff time for one reason and one reason only. It's not the head coach. Tyronn Lue has no head coach experience. It's not their point guard, because as good as Kyrie is, he's not like an MJ where his level of play from the regular season to the playoffs, boom, shoots up. It's because of LeBron James. LeBron James is a completely different player in the playoffs than he is in the regular season. Guys, what the hell? The Suns cut it to 10. I do not want them to win this game. But yeah, so despite the Cavs, they lost the season series to the Raptors. You can't look too much into that for 2 reasons. Yeah, LeBron James, fucking monster in the playoffs. And also, I hate to say it. I really hate to say it, but I hate when I hate when I say the NBA is rigged. I hate when I say the NBA draft lottery is rigged. I hate when I say the NBA playoffs are rigged. But it's hard to believe that the NBA is completely fair. You see the refs. You've seen some of them been caught before it. Like Tim Donaghy. You've seen them betting on games. You've seen some really, really questionable calls for star players where they get a lot of favorable calls. So I don't want to say that the league is rigged. But let's just say that the NBA would make a hell of a lot more money. To see LeBron versus Steph Curry Part 2 than they would to see Toronto versus Golden State. Let's just say that. But I'm not blaming it on it being rigged. Cleveland, it's going to be hard to beat them, but it's way different than what I predicted before the year. Before the year, Golden State's going to have to fight and battle to get to the finals. No, they're literally stepping. They're going to be stepping on top of teams. Maybe the Spurs will give them a battle, but they'll still beat San Antonio. Whereas Cleveland is going to be the one who might have to face a 7-game series. They might have a couple of 6-game series. And they might, I don't want to say it, but they might falter and lose a series and maybe not even make it to the finals. If I had to put money, I'll still put Cleveland. Yeah, I bet they'll make it to the finals. But the East is going to be what the West was last year. The East is going to be what everybody thought the West would be this year. The East is going to be so tight. And yeah, Toronto is Cleveland's biggest challenger, but I want you to watch out for another team. I want you to watch out for one of the most underrated teams in the league, with one of the most underrated players in the league in Isaiah Thomas. And if you haven't figured out by now, the most underrated team in the league, maybe aside from Portland, Portland's very underrated. And what they're doing is it's unreal how they're winning games with their roster. But the Boston Celtics, 3rd place in the East, and they play with so much chemistry. They feed off playing for each other. They love playing for each other. They had the assets to trade for a star player this past trade deadline. They didn't do it. Why mess up team chemistry? They're winning games because of chemistry. The Miami Heat have more talent than the Boston Celtics, but the Heat are lower in the standings because the Celtics just feed off each other's play. So it's crazy if I were to predict Boston beating Cleveland in the playoffs, but if they did beat them, it might be a little too early because Boston just started, coming up this year. Maybe if this was next year, if they had a little more experience playing together, that's not my point. Boston is going to give Cleveland a hell of a fight if they do face off. And if Boston faces off against Toronto, holy shit, I cannot wait for that matchup because Boston, Toronto, I would bet that goes to 7 games. That would be a hell of a series. And yeah, I guess you can say Miami can give Cleveland a fight just because, especially with they just signed Joe Johnson, so he can only help. He's not going to hurt them. I think Toronto's Cleveland's biggest challenger, but you can't forget about Boston, and you also can't forget about Miami because although they've been injured and they've had some inconsistent streaks, they're a big-time threat depending on Chris Bosh's health. Chris Bosh needs to be healthy. He's out, obviously, with his blood clot, which have been giving him problems, and it's sad because Chris Bosh is a really talented player, Let's cut to the chase. If I did have to pick, I'm gonna go Warriors and Cavs. But right now, I wouldn't be surprised if a team takes down Cleveland in the playoffs, although I don't expect it. And I would be more than surprised. I'd be shocked to see Golden State lose. So right now, Golden State, Cleveland, that's my NBA Finals prediction. I cannot wait for the NBA playoffs. You know, Suns should have home court advantage. Psych, who the fuck am I kidding? The Suns are... I can't. This video is 10 minutes and 12 seconds right now. If I started talking about the Suns, it would be 10 hours and 12 minutes. But anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Bro Waters is out. I love making these NBA show videos. Like, I have no papers in front of me. I have no research. I do it all off the top of my head, and I love talking NBA. I love reading the comments and answering back to you guys. So, much love, everybody. I love you guys all. Holy shit, guys. So I'm like about to edit my NBA show that I just did, and I'm like watching the Suns game, you know, back and forth. Devin Booker just hit fucking 30 points, 11 for 20 shooting. Look, oh, it's showing backwards because of my webcam. He's a lefty, not obviously, but in the computer, not in real life, but in the computer he is. 30 points for Booker with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. This dude is fucking good. Oh my god, they called a fucking foul on that fucking piece of shit fucking play. You call a fucking foul on this shit? How is this a foul? How is this a damn foul? Show it. Show it. Yeah, you don't want to show it because you know it wasn't a fucking foul, you piece of shit, ref. But yeah, guys, Booker has 30 points with 4 minutes left in the fourth. Keep in mind, this dude isn't... Oh, they showed it. Look. How the hell is that a foul? He literally got out of the way so he didn't foul. It's not his fault Winslow missed a dunk. But yeah, Booker has 30 points. Keep in mind, this dude is 19 years old. He's younger than me.